Hello, y'all. How are you tonight, y'all? Are you as
Fine.
great as I am
No.
from our lovely cherubs?
Yeah. We love our cherubs, and that's all we ever need to say.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
You know. No, I think it's always sometimes when you've had like a long day, we always say this, like when we start having conversations with it kind of gives us a bit of energy.
Yeah,
Kinda
exactly.
lifts
So
us
we
up.
have guests every day now, just to
Yeah.
have some energy boost.
Yeah. But no.
Especially when we have such lovely guests as today. So today we are speaking to Charlotte Kelly, who is one of the singers of the band Soul to Soul, which I'm sure you've heard of. And we are super honored, of course, to have her on. Not because of the obvious, but because she is such a lovely woman, such a lovely person. You have no idea. And I'm so lucky to call her my friend. I hope you feel the same, Malo.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for being here with us today, my darling.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I have three cherubs, but two of my cherubs are big enough to leave home, so they just come steal food, money, and makeup, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
my younger cherub steals everything, including my
Fair enough.
sanity at times, but he's adorable.
Yeah. And his name is Soul. I love that.
Yeah, his name is Soul.
You know what? If we had another son, which we don't, I would want that name actually. I love that. No, don't worry, we're not having more kids. I'm just saying.
Remember, it's eclipse energy right now, so be careful what you say.
Please.
We would cry in the pillow.
I would, you know what? I would cry for you. I would order you a crate of wine while I was crying.
That's to survive, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to you, Charlotte. It's not about us.
Yeah.
But we want to talk to you about the reality of fame and success and what's happening behind the scenes, because Soul to
Yeah.
Soul it still is very famous. I'm sure it's not all a bed of roses or sunshine and rainbows, how people might see.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you and your story. So I know that
Yes.
you've been with Soul to Soul since you were 18. Is that right?
Yes, I have. Yeah, on and off, because I have to tell you that I was quite cocky and rude when I was 18. I really thought that I knew everything, and the older I got, the more I realized I knew nothing. So I have had the sack quite a lot.
You had to what? So
Got the sack from Jazzy. I got fired. I think that's a more universal understanding. Yeah, I've been fired, lots of times for being rude.
okay. Now I'm curious what happened there.
Oh, just general things, thinking that you know everything, or turning up late. Jazzy has a thing where we have to turn up to the tour bus on time. If you don't turn up on time, you get fined. And of course, me being me, I wasn't up for any of that, because, when you're 18, you really think that you know it all. So yeah, and then I finally realized, I think I ended up being about 39, and I managed to wake up and realize that my mouth was getting me into trouble. So maybe the act of silence was a good plan.
Oh.
It took a long time to learn that, though.
Like you said, when you're 18, it's totally understandable and normal that you are not going to be, how you are now. Your boss,
course.
was he understanding of that? Like you said, you were fired, but then he got you took you back, obviously.
He did, yeah. He was understanding. I think what it is that I think also when you become successful or you make money from a young age, there's maybe not everyone goes through this, but I definitely went through it. I felt like because I was prepared to do the work and I managed to make my life happen from a young age, I felt slightly invincible. So not realizing that it wasn't just me, because behind anyone that's successful, there's usually always a great team, right? So it took me a long time to learn that I couldn't be where I am, who I am, doing what I'm doing without having great people around me. But when I first arrived in doing music, I didn't realize that. I thought I was all that in a bag of chips, and I'm responsible for all of my success.
Let's go to the beginning a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you get to the band, or How did that
Well,
all start?
what happened is I was born in Coventry, so they only had one recording studio called Planet Studios. It still exists. I think Punjabi MC owns it now. And so I went and made a demo tape. And at the time, I was saying to my mum, I really want to make a demo because back in those days, you made a demo and you got discovered by the label and they developed you as an artist and things went forward from there. So I went and made a tape, and my mum actually said to me, if you're really serious about music, go and get a job. And I was like, get a job? What, like a paper round? So I did get a paper round. That didn't work out because I didn't get up in time. I had to get up too early. I think I lost that job within the first 4 days. I remember being screamed at by the Indian man in the local paper shop just telling me that I'm useless, and he was right. So that wasn't going to work. So I thought, okay, I'll get a job in a nightclub. So I got a job in the only then nightclub, which was a rave club in Coventry called the Eclipse, which was quite famous because the rave scene was big then. I didn't have any clue, by the way, how to do this job. All I had to do was answer the phone and tell them what DJs were coming. Of course, I got that wrong because I couldn't see the flyer very well because I'm partially blind. So I just lied. I had a good time talking to the clients. And my boss said to me, as soon as you got the money for your demo tape, you got the sack because you're cute, but you're rubbish at the job. I said, that's fine. I just need the money for my tape. And that was it. So then I made my tape and I sent something silly like 5 tapes a day because there were TDK tapes that I bought from the market and I recorded my song. I think I did 3 songs onto the tapes and sent 3 tapes a day because I knew that lots of music would get thrown out. But I thought if I send 3 tapes a day for 1 month, maybe 1 tape might get through, and it did. And that was kind of how I started. And then I got invited to London to go and meet some people and did some live shows. And yeah, and it kind of snowballed from there, really.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think you were lucky in the sense like it was different times back then, wasn't it? It would
Yeah.
have been much, much harder now.
It's much harder now because I think there's much more competition. The great thing about all the new age platforms is that people can be vigilantes in their own right. They don't have to wait. But I think it's harder from the point of view that a lot of artists are kind of quite unusual. So just because someone's great artistically, it doesn't mean that they're going to have the confidence they need to
Yeah,
push themselves on a platform in front of people. So
yeah.
that could be the downside to what's happening now.
Yeah. Um, just wanted to ask, so when did you start writing music? When did you start to
I
think and write?
The amazing thing was I actually started almost straight away because I had a manager who ran a label called Big Life, a man called Jazz Summers, who was originally then managing Soul to Soul, and he managed Yaz, who sang that famous song The Only Way's Up, which is an old song, and he managed Lisa Stansfield. And so when I met him, he said to me, I'm going to offer you a publishing deal. I said, but I've never written a song in my life. And he said, I think that you can. And if you can sing like that, you might be able to write. So let's do that. And then as it went on, I discovered that actually I was a much better songwriter than I was a singer, and that was my love. So, it was from someone believing in me, really, because I used to write poems at school because I didn't know how to write songs. I used to label the top of the poem and put fast, slow, and, the scenario of what it was really about. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I think I still have that folder from when I was younger, but that was the beauty of it.
You say about the confidence and stuff that you needed, and you said that you obviously take my word in with a pinch of salt, and you believe
Yeah.
the hype before 18. You're you know you're out there, you're doing really well and things, and you start believing. Do you feel that you do need that confidence? You do need that kind of confidence in
Yeah.
yourself to a certain
You need
extent.
the cheek. You definitely need the cheek. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I've found is that, I have had times in my life when I've lost that cheek. And it's difficult when you do lose that, because then it's hard to put yourself in front of people. And I definitely was very cheeky. I didn't mind that I wasn't the best. I didn't mind that I wasn't successful. In my mind, I just loved music. I mean, when I worked even at the rave club, I got a job dancing on the stage. Now, I wasn't really a dancer, and I was into blues and rock and roll and reggae. So, I used to get on the stage and think shake my hair around, but I wasn't a traditional dancer. But I told the guy I could do it. I mean, all of these lyrics I came up with about things, qualifications I was meant to have that I clearly didn't have. And, people just didn't seem to care. They were just like, okay,
Yeah.
but she's smiling. She's
Yeah.
nice to have around, so we'll go for it. But we've got no idea where she got those moves from, because I mean, it was the rave scene, so everyone was high
Yeah.
anyway. So even if you couldn't really dance, it didn't really matter.
Just literally go with the flow. And
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, going back to what you were saying about the cheek, the interesting thing about life is that sometimes with your confidence, if you handle it the right way, you can talk people into believing that you are that thing that you say you are, because people generally want to respond to your energy, you know?
100%, yeah. And I think it's
Yeah.
the advantage of young people. They're fearless. No, I
Yeah.
used to be like that, like you said, so much more. Like there are no limits. No, there are no limits at all. Okay, so let's go back to your beginning with Soul to Soul.
Yeah.
Yes, so you started with them. Where were they in terms of?
They were, I think they had just had their hit with Back to Life or Keep on Moving. I'm not sure which, but I remember listening to it when I was at school. And then I think I'd just a few weeks after finishing school, I was, touting my tapes around trying to get a deal. And I went on holiday to Ibiza and I was asked to sing for a season in a club. I said to the manager, I can't sing for you because I'm going to get a record deal. Now, I wasn't going to get a record deal. Nobody had offered me anything. I was telling him that what I wanted to happen. But I said, if, for whatever reason, if I'm not that busy, I'll come back and sing next summer. I realized that I'm a bit lazy, didn't really want to do that because that meant working. So when I got back to England, it just so happened that I ended up signing with the same managers that worked with Soul to Soul. So Jazzy needed another singer because Karen had gone to America to do her own thing, Karen Wheeler,
Yeah.
who sings the original Back to Life and Keep on Moving. And she's also the writer. So I said to Jazzy one day, I don't understand why you've got all these amazing singers that come from America when this is a British band and I'm here and you've never asked me to audition for the band. And he said, I never thought that you wanted to because you're a young person. So I thought you wouldn't be interested because we're all much older than you. And I said, well, it makes sense for me to do that because I'm from Britain and you're interviewing now American singers. And Karen Wheeler was British, Rose Windross, who was another singer I think most of the singers from Soul to Soul in the beginning were originally British. So that was kind of how it started. So they were riding high at that time and they needed fresh blood and to keep going, basically.
Wow. So how did you find it? Your first, say, years with them.
Found it really intimidating because
Mhm.
being a mixed race person, grew up really, I mean, I spent time around my father who's from St. Vincent, but then I learned that there were different islands because I just thought black people are all the same at that age. I didn't realize that there was different types of black people. I just thought, so their energy is different. And when you're not used to being around it, which I wasn't really because I grew up mostly around the white side of my family. And so they lived in a very different way. So just being in the studio with about 20, funky dreads was a bit like, wow.
Yeah.
For me, it was a culture shock, really.
Yeah. Do you think that also after a period of time helped with your confidence?
I think, yeah, it definitely did because I realized then that actually these were my people. I always loved reggae, even though I've never actually recorded a reggae song that's been released as a record. And I was brought up, listening to sound systems and reggae because my dad was a Rasta man and he looked after us quite a lot of the time. I was already sort of indoctrinated into the sound and
Yeah.
used to the culture that surrounds that. So I found a massive liberation within it once I started to spend more time there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow. So how did your casual day look like?
Well, the
During
casual day would be getting up, going to at that time, Jazzy had the studio in, Camden, in Rochester Place, and it was a great studio because in those days, people would come to just hang out. We had a guy who used to cook for us called Napti, and he was an amazing cook. So he would cook every day. So it was a bit like I'd get up at home, obviously, get ready, go to the studio for about 12. I would be there all day, and because I was young, I didn't wanna miss anything. So I wanted to be there all the time for all the recordings, whereas now I'm like, "Can we finish at 8, please?" Um, yeah, it's like I've got another life. But
Yeah.
back then, it was about being in the creative vibe, so everybody that was originally from Soul to Soul and beyond, other musicians and DJs would come and hang out there and have food, so, Jazzy would go through some sounds with me or some tracks, ask me to choose what music I liked and write to it. So that's what I would do, and sometimes I would either go in a studio by myself and maybe have an engineer and write and record the ideas. Or, I might just go in a private room with just a tape recorder and do it that way. And then when I had something, just say, right, I need to put it down now. So that was great because I could immediately just go and record it after I'd written it. And then he would work on the mix. And then we'd decide what we were going to use and not use, that kind of thing. So it was great for a young person who wants to be creative because I just did that every day.
You said that your manager, who obviously managed Soul to Soul
Yeah,
as well, they
yeah,
obviously gave you, they had a lot of confidence in you. The fact that they said, be a songwriter as well as a singer and things.
yeah,
And I, I don't know, this is probably my own personal thing, but
yeah,
from a producer's kind of point of view, if they're giving you a song and you
yeah,
sing it, that's great. And if it blows up and it goes really well, it's amazing. But they're able to kind of manage those royalties and all that and things a lot more. Whereas if
yeah,
someone's giving you that opportunity, you get something back and stuff. And I don't think many singers really kind of had that. A lot of people were kind of, this is a song, this is a song, this is a song, but not many were actual singer-songwriters and stuff, where you would
yeah,
have both access to some of the royalties going
yeah.
forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the reason why is because, like I said, I thought in the beginning that I was just a singer. And
Yeah,
because I was obsessed with Whitney Houston and Donny Hathaway, for Christmas, I remember being given a Whitney Houston book about her life and the fact that, she wasn't really someone that did the writing. She liked to take the song and really make it her own. And I
yeah,
remember being surprised by that because she to me was so amazing. And every song she sang, it sounded like she meant it so much. I used to think that she wrote it. So I was really shocked when I found out that she didn't. And obviously with Donny Hathaway, he was the opposite. He wrote most of what he did, but he did sing loads of other songs that he thought were amazing. And again, would bring something totally different to the original song. But I think what I really, really realize is that writing was my baby. It was my thing that I love the most. Even now, I still say that, even though I like performing and it's like having a great glass of wine or spending time with someone you love. It's great from an adrenaline point of view. But when you sit and you create a song, because I've got guitars here on my wall and I play guitar really badly, but I don't actually mind because I like the sound of it. But
yeah,
I like the idea of creating something really new that I feel hasn't been done before. That's still my favorite thing. And I think that, you know, the publishing angle for singers and songwriters get burnt quite a lot in the beginning because we don't realize that that's where the money is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas the business people did know that, do know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's definitely, I've definitely been burnt and caught out by that because it's about remembering that it is the music business.
Yeah.
So, you know, the business part was never, it took me a while to wake up to that, really.
Not so much the artist, have that business kind of acumen.
Yeah, and I made the mistake of saying, I have to be honest, when I was younger, I remember saying to almost every manager that I might have taken on after Jazz Summers, "Oh, I'm not really, you know, I'm a musician, I'm creative, I don't know about business." Back in those days, you could get away with that, and you better hope to God that you had a great manager that wasn't going to rip you off, because 90% of the time that's what went on. But now I think it's very different. I think you have to know the business. It's the same, isn't it, with making podcasts and stuff like that. You have to be your own TV editor now.
Such a good point. Yeah.
Mm.
Do you remember your first gig? Very first one. That-
Yeah, I do actually. I do remember it. It was at, I don't think it's there anymore. It was a working men's club called the Cobden Club, and it was on Tottenham Court Road, and it was for a charity called Martin Shaw King. I don't know why I've remembered this. So I think Martin Shaw King was a TV presenter, a black TV presenter, and they wanted to give a scholarship to another young black person to follow in that person's footsteps. And so there was a live show put on for this event, and that was the first live gig I ever did. So I had my afro, I had leggings that had holes in, and I insisted on wearing them because I liked them because they were comfortable, despite that my mum said they looked dreadful.
Yeah.
But they were my favourite, you know, and I thought, well, I can't really see the holes, and so I don't actually care. So I definitely think I looked interesting. I don't have the pictures anymore, which is a shame. But so yeah, but again, you know, I was at that age where I think I was 15 or nearly 16. And an amazing singer was on as well on the same bill as me, who's quite well known, called Lorraine Cato. She's an amazing gospel singer now and quite successful. But at the time, her and I were the youngest entertainers in that club. I mean, you know, like we weren't allowed to go and buy drinks at the bar and that kind of thing. We did
Well,
try them. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, of course, because I'm growing, you know, that's what I was there for.
Yeah.
How did it feel to perform live for the first time for you?
I loved it. I mean, I'm quite lucky with live performances because even when we do live performances now, because I'm partially sighted, I can't see detail. So I pick up energy more so than detail. So when we go and do gigs, you know, sometimes the band members will say, "Oh gosh, you know, seemed a bit strange because you see those people in the front, they didn't look like they were having a great time." Because any performance never feels great if you know your audience isn't happy. But when you can't see well, it's fantastic because I'm having a great time and I don't know what they're feeling and I'm not really bothered. You know, I mean, obviously I want them to enjoy it, but if they don't enjoy it, sometimes you've made a choice not to enjoy it. I can't help you. You know what I mean? So,
But you know what? Sometimes they're feeding off you, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if you're in that zone and
Yeah.
you're going for it,
True.
the
Yeah.
audience will pick up on that as well, right?
100%.
yeah, they do. I mean, it's funny. It varies, you know, because I mean, I feel qualified to say this because I'm from Coventry, but so, you know, there's a certain sort of way that people behave. I'm not going to lie. When you go to places like Scotland or you go to up north, the audiences are amazing because there's just something about they're just interested in being there. It is culturally they're up for it. The same with Ireland. But when you go sometimes to small towns where people can be over concerned is the word I like to use. There's a straightness, there's a stiffness there. You know, I mean, I love playing Coventry because obviously I'm patriotic about Coventry.
Yeah.
But, you know, some of the people had faces like slapped asses. It's like, seriously, why did you come all this way to stare at me like that? You know? But
As long as they paid their
again,
money.
yeah, yeah, of course. But and obviously, you know, but what makes the entertainer, and I think all entertainers would share this, is if you know your audience is genuinely enjoying it and genuinely happy. And sometimes we get bad sound and they don't know that we can't control the sound. If the sound is bad, sometimes it's an acoustic thing, or it might be down to the person who's working the sound, and we don't have any control over that, and we have to carry on regardless of the
Yeah.
sound.
Well, let's talk about, because while you were with Soul to Soul, I believe they reached a peak. Is
Yeah,
that right? Yeah.
yeah,
So
they did.
how did that feel to you personally?
To be honest, if I'm being really brutally honest, I don't think I loved it as much as I should have done. I think if it happened to me now, because I live in a very peaceful way and I know myself well, I enjoy my life a lot more. I didn't enjoy being a child because when I was younger, I had a lot of complexes. I had a lot of complexes about the fact that my eyes moved and they didn't move together, or that I blink a lot and I can't help it. Um, you know, so things like that that I found difficult. I didn't feel that I was attractive.
Oh,
So these were all problems, PTSD problems that I had. My mental health wasn't great when I was young. So that meant that a lot of the great things that happened to me, there was a spiritual bypass there because I wasn't open to receive it, because my head was looking at, oh, but my hair's not this, or my eyes are not like that, or I didn't grow my breasts till really late in life, or I don't have breasts, and all the other stars have got massive boobs. You know what I mean? So
mm,
they sound silly, but when you're young, you're so concerned about all of these things.
yeah, of course.
So I spent a lot of time in my head. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing that people don't see now. They just see the
definitely
success
not.
and it's
Yeah.
glorious, but what's really
Yeah, and
happening?
I didn't, when I first before I had dreadlocks, so when I met Jazzy, my hair was just long and straight, and I had this thing about looking like a red Indian person. So obviously I've joined a funky dread band. So the idea was that I needed to have hair that went with what the boys had. So in the beginning, I didn't have dreadlocks because I hadn't grown my dreadlocks then. I had my hair twisted and I didn't like it like that. So because at that age I was being molded into making sure that my look went with the music I made, I didn't like all the choices that were made about my styling or the way that I wanted my hair. It wasn't my liberation in the beginning. So
Mm,
it made me feel even less confident because, like I'd have the long twists in, which I had in the beginning with Soul to Soul, and everyone loved it and I hated it. I remember even on when we did the picture for I Care, the cover, which is black and white. That particular day, I spent half the day crying because the makeup artist had done the makeup and I had loads of makeup on, and I just looked in the mirror and I just thought it was disgusting. And everyone told me it was great, but I hated it. And I didn't have the guts that I have now. I didn't have the guts to say, I really don't want this. There were some great artists who wouldn't allow people to push them around, and I wasn't that person. It took me quite a long time to learn to stand up for myself.
wow.
And I think artists go through that a lot in the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
Is there anything that you would love to turn around and say to 25-year-old you? And what advice would
Yeah.
you give to yourself after all the
The
experience that you've had now?
I think the advice I would give is that being unique is the best image anyone can ever have, and to realize your uniqueness. Like I tell my children all the time how gorgeous they are, and I make statements about the special, unique things that they have. Like one of my daughters, her father is Nigerian, so she's got very tight hair and she's naturally darker than me. So I joke with her that I need to go in the sun so I can be the same color as her because I'm a bit yellow.
Yeah.
And she's really lucky because she's got the Nigerian roots, her hair is tighter, but it still grows really quickly because she's mixed race, whereas Nigerian people mostly don't experience hair that long. So I think it's important for parents to point out the actual genuine unique beauty to the child so the child can look in the mirror and go, yeah, that looks like me or that sounds like me, you know? So I definitely that would be one of the things that I would definitely say now is to teach people to be liberated with what they have rather than chasing something they don't have or they think they want, but it's never going to be them.
Yeah, yeah. I think with fame in particular, you must be so mentally strong. And this is
I
one
I
of the
think I am now. I do think it takes a long time. I mean, even now, you know, what I find funny is even a few months ago, because the backing singers we have are not original members, they're new. But when they came to the band now, they're young mixed race girls, you know. So I remember them saying to me, I was just about to go on stage and they said, "Oh, your hair looks really woolly on your hairline, you know, like it is now." And they said, "Are you just going to leave it like that?" I said, "Well, I've got dreadlocks. This is my hair. That's what it does at the front. It's baby hair and it looks a mess. And it looks like that every day." And they said, "Yeah, but it's a bit fluffy. You know, what about doing your edges?" No, as you can see, I've tried to sort of do it. Right, but you know, I remember being absolutely mortified that, you know, and I saw it on a black hair documentary that I watched because I researched it after that because it inspired me that this black woman who read the news years ago, I think in the 1960s, was told her hair had to be pressed for her to have the job because she wasn't allowed to go on camera with fluffy hair. So to be awkward now because I think that I'm a bit of a rebel, I deliberately don't do my edges when I go on stage
love it.
because that's not how. Obviously, it's a nice effect sometimes pretending you're Josephine Baker, but my hair doesn't do that. It's fluffy. That's what it
I
is.
love, I love it. And you know what? I would like to talk to you a little bit about the movie A Star Is Born. Have you seen it?
Yeah,
Lady Gaga?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a brilliant movie.
I love it. I'm obsessed with that one. Actually,
Yeah, it's great. I've watched it a few times. It is a
yeah,
great movie.
it is. I love Lady Gaga after seeing that.
Yeah, me too, because
People
she's
actually got her.
absolutely stunning talent, amazing writer.
Yeah. I love that message in that movie that you always have to remember what you want to say
Yeah,
and just say what you want to say. Don't let anyone else dictate what you say.
yeah.
Uh, what do you think about that message? Does it really work like that in music industry? Like, are you allowed to say?
I think it does now, mainly because the record obviously if you're part of a media machine, and by that I mean going on things like The Voice, you know, X Factor and the like, it's difficult because you are being turned into a product that they think they can sell. You're a marketing tool and you are the product. So when you're being treated as a product and being a person who's being treated like that, it is very difficult to have your own say in those circumstances, but I think you have to pick your battles and decide whether you want to wait until you're up there. And then when you have a name, you can call the shots. Or, you know, sometimes you get people like Taylor Swift, who has a great team behind her, even though she is amazing and 100% deserves to be where she is. But also, I get the impression that they were interested in crafting her actual character into
Yeah.
the superstar rather than, you know what I mean, the other way round.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very difficult. Whereas I think now, because self-expression, if an artist comes along and they do it themselves, then sometimes their most unique thing can be the thing that's, you know, unusual or that might even seem boring. You know, look at Ed Sheeran and people like that. I mean, you wouldn't have guessed that that talent was in that person by looking at him. And I don't mean that rudely.
Yeah.
But he looks like someone that might collect glasses in a pub, and you couldn't be further from the truth. So, not that that's a bad thing or a good thing. It's just different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Lady Gaga was the one who just waited to be on the top, and then she showed people who she really
did.
is. But it's so risky,
Yeah.
you know. I
Yeah.
can't be sure that you'll get that shot. So
That's right, you can't, but I'm getting the impression that mentally she must have been quite strong anyway because
Yeah.
she was so original that it seems like she had to spend a lot of time getting people to understand her, which must have meant that on some level she knew herself very well to have that conviction. Because most people adapt and change in order to survive, not because they don't have the guts to be themselves. It becomes about adaptability sometimes.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things I really admired about the movie is that she had the guts to show up as herself from day one. So I think when you realize who you are, then you can be someone else if you have to,
Yeah.
because you know who you are
Yeah.
and you understand that it's decoration.
Yeah.
Don't do your edges. Don't ever do your edges.
No, I mean, at the moment they've got conditioner on, but they look a bit weird because they're sort of half there and half not.
But still,
But
don't
I
do.
totally up for that, not doing
Yeah,
edges.
I like that.
Well, let's talk about, because fame is often connected with drugs and addiction. And
Yeah.
is that the reality that there can be so
It
much pressure that,
It's so funny that you asked me that, and it's a great question. And I was thinking about it yesterday because I was watching Back to Black on Netflix about the Amy Winehouse story, and I loved Amy Winehouse, and she's an absolute British treasure. And so I'm still not through; I'm only halfway through it. But what I noticed is that I thought really long and hard about why we have the 27 Club and why is drugs and alcohol and, well, any kind of narcotics really a big part of the music business. And I think the reason might be because you're dealing with fantasy. You
Mm.
know what I mean? I mean, to look amazing like those people do and walk red carpets and look great, yes, they need a great mindset. And a lot of times, the most talented people were either super spiritual and knew everything already, like Bob Marley, or the fact that they were tortured was what made them great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think there's two schools with that kind of thing really, because although, obviously as we all know, the effect that drugs and alcohol has on you from a spiritual point of view and a physical point of view, but it takes you to places. I don't know about drugs because I've never done that, but I like a glass of wine and you can go to places that you can't go when you are sober. Or maybe you can, but I'm not evolved enough. I haven't done that yet. So I think that's why it is in the music business. And also, those things can be used as leverage to get people to do things that they probably shouldn't be doing. And we all know that that happens in the music business too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny that you said that. I haven't seen that particular series, and I'd be interested to
Mm.
watch that. But
Yeah, definitely check it out because I don't know whether it might say in the credits whether it's true to form. But
right,
I have the feeling that it might be. And again, you'll notice if you look at it that she was one of these people who really believed in herself. At the beginning of her career when she met Blake,
yeah,
Blake had nothing. He was sofa surfing. And she was devastated when he left her because in her mind, she's like, but I love him. And the fact that I love you, the fact that I'm a massive star and you are going to prison in a week, but
yeah,
I love you, I don't understand. And she really didn't get it because in her mind there was no social difference because there's love there.
yeah.
And it was just gorgeous. Adine, I'm such a romantic. I watched it again.
I thought there was because I remember ages ago that
Yeah,
I saw like a little clip of her actually kind of singing. She obviously was completely, this was her pre all of
Oh,
this.
yes,
And, you know, I think at the time she was singing and she wasn't getting much traction
yeah,
as this, the voice is still as powerful as it was and stuff at that time. She was a great singer and all this. But then when these kind of elements kind of came in, it
yeah,
suddenly bit of a bad girl. I'm not saying this is exactly it. It probably isn't. But,
yeah,
there was more, there was like that kind of tortured kindred kind of spirit and stuff in it that people
yeah,
kind of reflected and resonated to. And it was
yeah,
more like, that was the only difference between the two. She was a great singer at the beginning. I
yeah,
didn't think that she was as powerful in the media. Whereas when
Yeah.
she was this other person who
Connected with.
then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you know, you got the papers picking up on
Yeah.
anything and everything that she did.
Yeah, because again, but you're 100% right, but all artists have struggled with being a product of that because what
Yeah,
happens is that the labels realize or realized, should I say, that you become your own soap opera. People
yeah,
are interested, it's the intrigue. You know,
yeah,
it is devil energy because whether you like it or not, that energy is entertaining. It's exciting. It's like, what's she gonna do now? What do you mean she's half cut and she's trying to sing a song and almost fallen off the stage? It's an unfortunate, and I don't agree at all with that, you know, that philosophy and what it does to people's lives. But they almost sort of keyhole in on the fact that she's got that tortured thing going on.
yeah,
She would have had access to all the alcohol that she wants or whatever. Um, you know, things like that. And then what happens is it ends up the loneliness will increase because now she's famous she can't, you know, go round the corner and buy a packet of fags like she could in the beginning and a bottle of vodka and sit and
yeah,
drink that. You know, she's going to be having it sort of delivered.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
When you just said that, sorry, I need to elaborate on that.
yeah,
When you're famous, you feel lonely. And I think that's so powerful that lots of
yeah,
people don't realize that. Sorry, continue. Because they believe, so many people believe that when you're famous, you have everything and you don't, you're
yeah.
happy because you're someone. Yeah. But
There's lots of restriction. You're right. I'm lucky because even though I work for a famous band and even though I've had the sack lots of times and been re-employed lots of times, because the focus is around Jazzy and Karen, and in a sense, what I do is my contribution can be deemed as an understudy. I've always managed to live on the edge of being a normal person and being able to step into some semi-famous thing. You know what I mean? Because of how my life has been structured. So I've been quite lucky that I've been in and out with that. So I've been able to sit at the top table and able to sit on a step and see the difference. And I like that. And it's really interesting to see how, you know, people at the top table have a totally different because you know, you're a commodity, you're a product. You're almost in a sense, it's not about you as a human being. I think maybe it's going round in a circle now because we're in an age where, you know, people are learning that toxicity kills. But, you know, there was, because don't forget, you know, with the 60s, that was the revolution with the whole sexuality. And then out of that was born all of this new age behavior of just doing whatever you wanted as excessively as possible.
yeah.
I definitely missed. I missed an age and stuff on that one. I think.
So tell us, Charlotte, where is the band now? How is it going now?
Well, where it's going now is we are doing lots of revival gigs. So we seem to be on the bill with people like Chic and what's that brilliant songwriter that's amazing, forgotten his name, Billy Ocean. I love Billy Ocean.
Oh,
Yeah, I got to meet him. He's
Really?
just fantastic. What a great writer. I used to listen to Caribbean Queen and suddenly when I was a child. So we, you know, we play the rounds quite a lot, doing festivals and some corporate gigs, which is great. And then in between that, I do my counseling and psychotherapy and, you know, help my children do whatever it is they want to do with their lives now, really.
wow. So you're thinking about doing a more of a coaching going forward?
Yeah, it's going to be so it's going to be based on helping people with mental health, but using all forms of art to be able to teach people to manage their own mental health. Because, I mean, counseling work is great. Talking, integrative therapy has its place, especially when people have extreme grief, as that'll be happening a lot now with the times that we're having and everything changing so quick, you know, people sort of leaving this dimension all over the place. But I think self-reliance for mental health is really important. So people learning to self-regulate in lots of different ways. So it becomes a daily event because healing is a daily event anyway. And all of the skills that I learn even when I went to school and things that I actually had to teach myself to do, like silly things like if I want a glass of wine, it's not Friday, can't have wine, got to get up for school, just things like that. General discipline that has to happen so that your life can be happy and productive. And you can choose happiness rather than pleasure because it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the pleasure bit though. Don't get it twisted.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I just got an idea. You could
Yes.
coach people or help people in the show business with the mental
Ye-
health. That could be really
Yeah,
good.
I'm
Mm.
definitely up for that because I think that it's very, very difficult as an artist. What I've learned is your state has to be. I mean, it's probably to be honest for everyone. You've got your mind is everything, and if you're not well in your mind, you're not well anywhere. So that's kind of what I learned. I mean, I get up and train every day, and I don't like doing it. I really don't enjoy doing it. So I have to not attach emotion to it. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, out of the bed. Because if
Yeah.
I don't do that and I feel that bed, I'm not going anywhere. And I don't want to go anywhere. And I make excuses. I feel a headache coming. Yeah, well, the menopause, and that's what's happening today.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I can't keep lying to myself. I've got to kind of, and it's all about making sure, like when we get the kids ready for school, I say it a lot to one of my clients that I teach at the moment, a coach at the moment. She said, "Oh, when my daughter gets up, it's such a rush. I'm shouting all the time before we leave for school." And I said, "Look, you've got to get up before the child, have your coffee. If you're not going to work out, fine, but, get ready to walk and put your makeup on, put your dress on. You're a woman. You were a woman before the baby came. You're a woman now." I've always been quite selfish, that to be honest. So,
That's good.
I mean, I put makeup on when Iman was a day old, when I waited for everyone in the hospital to come and visit.
No, I love that. We need that. Who is to say how things should be, how you should, act,
I think
get
it's
after
important,
birth.
like the brilliant thing that the video you made the other day, which I actually saved on my phone to do a duet with. I just haven't got round to it. About feeling that you have to play with your children. Now, I really didn't like playing with my children when they were younger. And now Sol is online a lot, like he's got his games. Now, not only do I not enjoy that, I can't see what the hell I'm doing. So, I mean, I get whatever avatar I've got. So I go, right, my avatar's got to have blonde hair. She's got to have lipstick. She's got to have boots on. And my son's going, can we just get to the game? No one cares about your avatar. But this is my bit. And that's what makes me like it. So if I don't have a nice avatar, I'm not playing. So and actually the kids learn to adapt, and then there are some things that he wants me to do, like watch YouTube. I just won't do it because it makes me feel unhappy. I don't like it. So I think that it's about being honest, and kids actually respect that when you tell them that.
Mm.
And if you can adapt the play so that you can enjoy it or put a time limit on it. So it's like, right, okay, I'm giving you an hour. I used to do it when the kids were small. I used to say, right, we're going to the park for 2 hours. I'd give them the countdown, and I didn't care what amount of screaming they did because I like parks, but preferably ones without kids in them. We're gonna do 2 hours. When the 2 hours is up, do not ask me for another 5 minutes. It's not happening. We're going. And I know I was mean, but there are some women who go to the park. They've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They've got, basically a whole life and a house on top of the pushchair. No, that wasn't me.
Yeah. Or, like all these, what you call them, where you have snacks, the boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snack.
And also,
Oh yeah,
I just grabbed some.
yeah. No, but that's just it. But also, your kids are like, for instance, when my youngest daughter was little, when she was 7, she realized that I wasn't good at shopping because, I'm creative. I like shopping for shoes and makeup. But if I've got to buy food, well, can't we just order it? I really don't want to do it. Let's just do it quickly. So
Yeah,
what
yeah,
she
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to do, she used to write me a list at 6 years old. These are the things that 6-year-olds
but that's good because that gets
Yeah, I
them
love
to
it.
use their brain and
Yeah,
ingenuity.
it's science. I
Yeah,
love that.
think it's great. I think getting because children are so clever and actually they're your best friends because they bring out things in you that you need to be brought out. As parents, I know because I've done it a lot and I still force myself not to do it now. It's easy to run around going, right, I'm going to clean, the house is going to look amazing. I'm going to get all the bills paid, I'm going to do all these jobs. And then by the time your child's 25, 26, there's no memories. I have great memories of my father, who, by the way, would get us to school late, couldn't put us in the right clothes, gave us the wrong food, but we had the best time.
Yeah.
And he
oh,
was just useless at anything. Well, I mean, because he was brought up in the Caribbean, he just
yeah,
couldn't get with the 9 o'clock rock thing. He tried, but it just wasn't.
this wasn't him.
It just
Well,
wasn't him. It was like, no, we're going to make cocoa and grate the nutmeg. It's like 5 to 9. My school was
But you
4
know
miles
what?
away.
But you know what? I actually think even in that instance there,
yeah.
if the kid ended up being late like 2 or 3 times, they would
Yeah,
start, the shouting that you said about winning
yeah,
clients, shouting to kind of, oh, we need to go and blah. They
yeah,
realize that the
Yeah.
kid actually, we really do need to go. You might have to not shout so much to kind of get the kids to do what you want and stuff in the morning. Actually,
yeah,
they start to realize that is the time we need to kind of hurry a bit, and it's
Yeah.
just less.
Yeah. Or when they late a few times at school and they're embarrassed.
Yeah,
They
and
don't
they don't
remember.
want to. Yeah, they just monitor.
yeah. Of course, and what you can, I mean, what I do, is that well, like I said, I get up and I train, then I have coffee, then I get ready, and if I want to wear makeup, I put makeup on. If I don't, and I think I'm going on a long walk, then I find some good shades and put my hair up. But so by the time I get Soul out of bed, I'm already ready. But I also mark out the time. So he's got this amount of time to sit around because he's not a morning child and he has ADHD. So I can't get him out of bed and say, right, let's go, because he can't respond to that.
Yeah,
He needs to feel everything. And because I think a lot of parents maybe don't, not deliberately, don't always make the time to learn who the child is. It's not about the child fitting into your regime. In order to make the child do that, you have to know who they are.
yeah,
But
And some kids can jump up and do that and they find it fun and they'll step to your beat. But other kids have got their own rhythm and their rhythm has to be massaged a little bit, so that you can get what you need. And that's what I've learned. So it's always peaceful because one thing I never do is when I take him to school, I have rules. So everyone knows if you need me, you don't call me at 8:30 when I'm at the school gate because I won't answer the phone because I don't want him to leave me seeing me on a phone. And I never collect him with a phone in my hand either because it's about being present. Even if we only have 10 minutes to sit together,
still,
or to walk together. And even if he doesn't want to talk to me, I give him my attention, shared.
nice.
well, you
Yeah.
never use phone around him.
I do use a phone around him, but I don't do it when I'm picking him up.
Okay.
Everyone know, like even if I'm in having a meeting, I'll say, right, my son's gonna come out the school gate in 5 minutes. I need to go because it's that whole thing of him feeling ignored. And I didn't do that when the girls were younger because I'm very ambitious. So I was always working. And all they remember about me is that I always worked,
Yeah.
you
You
know.
always know better with new child, no? So maybe
Yeah,
no, not anymore.
definitely. Yeah,
Definitely not
yeah.
anymore. This is funny, no? We're parents. We always end up talking about parenting, no? Regardless,
Right.
it's just universal language, no? I love that.
It is.
So just maybe one last message, Charlotte. Like,
Yeah.
what would you say to young people who dream of success and fame and feel like when they're famous, that's the best thing that can happen to them?
I would say to them, and I wish this was my lyric and I wish I had written it, but I didn't. It comes from a guy called Wayne Dyer, who's a spiritual speaker who's passed now. But I would say, don't die with the music in you or don't die with the art in you. When you get to your last, if you imagine that you're on your deathbed and you haven't done what you came here to do or what you wanted to do, how will you feel? And when you feel that and you really feel that feeling, you know that you need to get out there and do it and try, because perfection is a fantasy. It's not real.
Yeah.
You know, so once you realize that, you realize that you're allowed to come and claim your space, whether you do one painting or whether you make 10 platinum albums, it all actually is worth the same amount. It's just whether the world responds to you or not, you know?
But you don't really need to be famous in order to be successful.
I
You know?
agree. Success usually, I mean, for me personally, I think happiness is the thing. When you feel happy inside and you feel content knowing that you've created something that is able to support you in some way, even if maybe, you know, there are some people that don't believe that they can make a living out of what they do. But I have one friend who has a high paying job in IT. She goes and plays gigs in Camden. Now, most of the time, she's spending more money than she makes to play that gig, but she loves it and she lives for it. And it's her little treat to herself at the weekend, like our treat when the kids go to sleep is a glass of wine. Hers is playing in Camden. I mean, I think she would probably pay people to watch her because she just loves doing it.
It's not for everyone though.
No, it's not, and it's, you know, it's difficult as well because obviously financially it doesn't offer safety,
Yeah,
you know.
that's true.
So you have to be interested in rolling with the punches or to find, you know, to probably give time to something that maybe you don't love as much, but it creates support so you can go and do what you do love, you know.
I can get into a song, like I can lose myself in a song. I can, I'm like totally losing it, singing, dancing away and stuff. The world is, the time is just gone.
Yeah.
I wondered if you create a song, if you broke it down to, you know, what the I don't know what they call it, the musical notes,
Yeah.
the bare bones of what that kind of music and stuff is. Do you
Yeah.
lose something in it? Does that
That's a
make
really
sense?
good, yeah, it does because obviously I think it depends because most people, and I only say this because when I used to make demos, I'd go in, make the demo. Now some of the tuning would be off because obviously I don't really know what I've written yet. I'm trying to find my way, but I
Yeah.
want to get the general idea down. And what used to happen a lot is I'd go back a week later when I've learned the demo that I now love, but now I want to do the finished final version, and I'd sing it and it was rubbish. And I'd go, "What happened?" And
Yeah.
everyone would go, "Oh, because when it was new, you loved it and you were exploring and there was magic there."
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the magic of what you're listening to and where
Yeah.
that magic is coming from and what turns you on about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Because
It's
what you'll probably find is whatever you fall in love with about that music, you will want to always hear it that way.
I'm
Do you know
just
what I mean?
curious
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
that just changes and you've got the technical aspect and stuff to it.
Yeah,
No,
it
thank
does
you.
because you're creating an atmosphere, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it's a bit like if you've got a painting, like for instance, you know, those Banksy paintings, I'm not sure, you know, you got that one where the kid's holding the balloon that got sold for a ridiculous amount of money. Now, I wonder whether if you put an actual background that was busy behind that, would that have the same effect? Probably not. The beauty of it is the simplicity and what it might mean to people. Because I can see that image. I've actually seen the original painting and I was that anal, I had a picture taken with it. I've lost the picture, but I thought I was all that. And I wanted to touch it. So every time I think about that picture, I feel happy because that's how the picture made me feel. But I imagine that picture in the form I saw it in. I don't want to see it in another form, if you know what. I wouldn't want to see an extra kid or a bit of scenery behind that little boy because it isn't in the original picture.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's right. I like that. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, Charlotte, for being here and for sharing your story and your insights. I believe that our listeners enjoyed it just as much as we did. And my friend, if you enjoyed this episode as ever, please leave us a review and share it with those who you believe would enjoy it as well, because it really helps to get this podcast discovered. Charlotte, we wish you all the best in the world.
Thank
I
you.
know we're gonna talk soon, but for now, wishing you all the best, and you're
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. It was great.
Mwah.